Namaste, everyone. I welcome you all with great love and respect. Today we begin the exploration of answering the question, who am I? What am I? What's the true nature of myself? What's the true nature of reality? So we're going to explore the self. And there's a classical story that's told in India about a seeker that was beginning his journey of self-exploration. And he decided to visit a very famous guru. And he was presented before the guru and said, "Oh, Guruji, I want to know the highest truth. I'm new on the spiritual path and I wish to receive the highest learning." The guru looked at him and said, "Tattvam asi, thou art that." The truth is that universal consciousness dwells within you as you, and you are that. Tattvam asi. The seeker listened intently and said, "Guruji, I've read that in the different spiritual books. I've already heard that, so thank you very much." And the guru said, "Well, there's a guru down the street. If you'd like to hear the highest teachings, you can go visit him." So the student went down the street, presented himself to the guru, and pretty much asked the same question. Who am I? What's the highest truth? What's the nature of reality? And the guru looked at him and he knew that he'd visited the previous gurus, had already received the teachings. So he said, "If you want to receive the highest teachings, you're going to need to do sadhana. You're going to need to do spiritual practice. I'd like you to stay here in the ashram and serve me for 12 years. You'll be working in the cow shed, picking up cow dung." So the student was very excited. He was going to receive the highest teachings. So he moved into the ashram and did his selfless service every day, meticulously picking up the cow dung. But while he was there, he was also learning how to meditate. He was studying the different scriptures and doing the inner work that was required. 12 years passed. At the end of the 12 years, the student, now disciple, presented himself to the guru and said, "Guruji, I've served you now for 12 years. What is the highest truth? Who am I?" The guru looked at him and said, "Tattvam asi, thou art that. The supreme consciousness dwells within you as your very being, as your very self." The student was shocked. He said, I heard that 12 years ago from the guru down the road, and I've served you now for 12 years, and you tell me tattvam asi." The guru looked at him and said, "My son, the truth hasn't changed in the last 12 years. Tattvam asi, you are that." This time, the guru imparted the direct wisdom to the student, and there was an awakening that took place. The student was ready to hear the truth that universal consciousness dwells within the hearts of every human being. He awakened, fully realized from doing his sadhana. So this is the essence of our course, that the self, the supreme self, is of the nature of our own being. The ancient scriptures describe this as Sat Chit Ananda, Sat Chit Ananda, Sat, being itself, the unchanging truth, the awareness of being in all places, in all things, at all times. Chit, the awareness of that being. Ananda, supreme bliss, that the nature of the self is supreme joy, is the highest love. All of the good feelings and being happy. This is our essential nature. Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So I want to parse this definition of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. The first aspect is the self is the source. It's the source of our being. It's the deepest part of our nature. It's the source of our joy. It's the source of love. It's the source of peace. All of this comes from within. We've all had a little touch of this, a little taste of this joy. Have you ever noticed that when you're out in nature and you're enjoying a beautiful sunset? Sometimes, I don't know if you do this, but sometimes when I'm out there and enjoying a beautiful sunset, I'll close my eyes and feel the sense of awe arising from within me. The beauty that we see in a sunset isn't coming from the sun, from an outside source, but somehow it triggers a feeling within us. The source of that joy, the source of that sense of awe comes from within. There's an ancient scripture called the Vijnana Tantra that talks a great deal about this. It talks about the source of the joy coming from within our own being when we taste good food. The feeling of delight arises from within. It doesn't come from the food and enter into us. It somehow brings the mind into a place of satisfaction where our natural joy can bubble up to the surface. You ever had the experience of unexpectedly running into an old friend or relative that you haven't seen in a long time? Just a few weeks ago, I ran into an old friend that I knew from 50 years ago, living in the ashram in Ganeshpuri, India. We were crossing the Ramjula Bridge, and this figure looked familiar to me, like I knew him. He began to look at me as if he knew me, and when we arrived together, I said, "Ram," and he said, "Brahm," and we both erupted in delight at seeing each other, that somehow this connection had satisfied the mind for just a short period of time so that this joy can arise. Sleep is another example. You know, we live in the world and we pursue so many things to experience happiness in our daily lives. No matter what we do during the day, by the end of the day we're exhausted. We're depleted, and all we want to do is sleep. So we quiet the mind and we turn within and we go to sleep. If we get deep sleep, we wake up refreshed. We don't get good sleep, we're still tired in the morning. Did you ever wonder why that is? The yogic scriptures tell us that the reason that we sleep is to get close to the self. We let go of the exterior world, and the body goes to sleep and the mind goes to sleep, and our consciousness gets very close to the self, where it energizes itself and it fills itself, so we have energy to go about our daily business. So meditation is very close to deep sleep, with the exception that we remain conscious. We remain aware of this delightful source of our own being. We also describe the nature of the self as the witness of the mind. The yogic scriptures say, neti neti, the Vedanta particularly says neti neti. I'm not this body, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my feelings, I'm not my breath. All of those things will pass away, but there's something within us that doesn't pass away. There's an unchanging awareness of our own being. It's been the thread of our lives. It's been with us since we're youngsters. I don't know if you can remember back to your earliest memories. I can remember being back to 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, and I had this awareness that I existed. I had this feeling of being me, this unchanging awareness of I am. And over the 70 or so years that I've lived in this body, my body has changed, my mind has changed, my belief system has changed, everything around me has changed. I'm no longer a young man, I'm an old man. But there's something that hasn't changed. I'm still me. And it's this unchanging awareness that is the thread of our life, which is often described as the self. So this pursuit, this path of knowledge, is what we call yoga. Yog. Yog comes from the Sanskrit yug, which means to yoke together. It's an old term. They would yoke together the oxen to plow the fields. So this yoga is the joining of the individual self with the supreme self. It's the uniting the different aspects of ourself into one awareness. Even in the West, the great teacher Jesus said, "Take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy, my yoga is easy, and my burden is light." So yoga is the practices that we do to bring ourselves into the direct experience of our own being. The Bhagavad Gita says that yoga is skill in action. It's an intelligent effort to know the self. Now there was an ancient yogi, lived maybe 2,000 years ago, by the name of Patanjali. Some of you may be familiar with the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Patanjali says, "Yogas chitta vritti nirodha." That yoga is the practice of stilling the mind, stilling the vrittis of the mind. Vrittis are movements, different perceptions, thoughts, wherever there's a movement in the mind. And it's the yogic scriptures tells us that these movements of the mind veil the experience of the self. So long as the mind is active, there's a screen before consciousness, and we perceive the movements of the mind rather than the perceiver, the self itself. It goes on to say that when the vrittis of the mind are stilled, tada drishtaha, then the self is revealed. So the means to this revelation of the inner self, we call meditation. Patanjali defines meditation as a one-pointed flow of consciousness towards an object, towards anything. We can meditate on the tip of our nose, on the candle, on our breath, on our own self. The idea is that in our normal waking state, we have many, many different varieties of thoughts. They're constant, this thought, that thought. We're buffeted by these various thoughts. We want to learn through meditation to focus our awareness onto one thought, one stream. They use the analogy of a lake. When there's a body of water and there's lots of waves, it's very choppy, you can't see down to the bottom of the lake. So all these different movements on the lake are the vrittis, the movements of the mind. As we meditate, we begin to calm the waters of the lake. And we begin to develop one vritti, one thought, one pointed awareness. All the other waves, all the other movements begin to quiet down. And then we have one wave, one thought. When that thought becomes still, becomes quiet, then we're able to see down to the bottom of the lake. And the bottom of the lake is the source of our being, it's the self. It's then that we can have a direct experience of our own consciousness, of our own being. So meditation is the one-pointed flow of concentration. When the mind achieves that, then we can have complete stillness and quiet. The self can reveal itself. So yoga, meditation, is the effort that we put in to still the mind so that we can know the self. So this process begins by recognizing what we're not. This self is described as unchanging. It's always the same. So we can look at the various aspects of our life and our being and see that what changes isn't the ultimate reality. So if we know, for example, that the body changes, and clearly we're not the body, our thoughts change, our belief system change, everything around us changes, except for the inner witness, the inner consciousness. And that's the self. So what I'd like to do now is to lead us into a brief meditation to give you an experience of that. So I'd invite you to just sit comfortably. Begin to close your eyes. And I want you to become aware of different aspects of your being. So first we become aware of the physical body. Feel into your body. Notice the sensations. Are you having any physical pain or tension anywhere in the body? See if you can observe the body as if it were an object, something to perceive. Can you get a sense of that? I have a body. You would still exist even without this body, right? Become aware, first of all, of the body. We know that there's something more than just a body. We're able to witness it as if it was an object. We'll begin to feel into any emotions that might be present, any feelings. Look in your diaphragm. This is what we call the Manipura chakra, the gut chakra. Are there any emotions or feelings? Do you feel any tensions there? Does it feel that it's open? Or does it feel closed? Are there any emotions present in the heart? Bring your awareness to the heart. Call this the heart chakra. Are there any feelings? Are you feeling happy? Sad? Does the heart feel open and expanded? Does it feel contracted? Look at your throat, the throat chakra. Is there any tightness there? Any emotions? Any feelings associated with that? Become aware of the space between the eyebrows and begin to notice your thoughts. Is your mind active? Are you thinking lots of thoughts? Where's the mind still and quiet? See if you can observe the thoughts and the feelings that are present as objects of perception. And you create a little bit of distance that you're observing your thoughts, observing the feelings, observing the sensations in the body. So if we can perceive these things as objects, who is it that's perceiving? Become aware of your breath, watching the breath coming in, going out. Now we can control the breath, we can slow it down, we can speed it up, we can hold our breath, but without our effort, we breathe 24/7 for as many years as we live. So there's an energy that's moving that breath within you. Watch the breath. Become aware of the movement of the breath in and the breath out. And ask yourself, who is it that's watching the movement of the breath at this point? Beyond the mind, we can witness the mind, we can witness the thoughts, we can witness the sensations in the body, we can witness the breath. I'd like you to become aware now of that inner witness. Just close your eyes and sit for just a couple of minutes in the awareness of the witness. Watch. Thoughts arise. Watch them come into your awareness just like clouds in the sky. If we were looking at the sky, clouds would drift into our awareness and pass through without us engaging with them. We could simply witness it. Watch. I'm going to invite you now for this first meditation to just sit quietly and witness whatever it is that's arising. You may see thoughts arising, you may feel sensations arising in the body, but you're the witness. You're none of those things. So we'll sit like this for maybe 5 minutes in meditation, coming out of meditation. So gradually, as we return to our awareness of the waking state, first, notice the breath. Then become aware of any thoughts that might be playing in the mind. And become aware of any physical sensations as we return to our regular waking state. So now we've done our first meditation, and I refer to this as a meditation where we learn to witness our own consciousness, to become aware of consciousness itself, to be able to pull back from the external world, be able to pull back from our thoughts and our feelings into the awareness of our own self. So your assignment, your homework, as it were, from this lesson is to begin a regular daily meditation practice. Patanjali says that for a practice to bear fruit, for abhyasa to bear fruit, it should be practiced on a regular basis over a long period of time. That way we can receive the full benefit of the practice of meditation. So you can do this as you like, whatever time you like. I have found it most effective if we can choose a time every day and meditate at that time. Some people prefer the morning, some people prefer the evening, some people like to do both. I would encourage you to get up in the morning or maybe a little earlier than you usually do. Take your shower, immediately sit for meditation. The mind is very quiet at that time. Prepare a little sacred space where you can do meditation. Maybe you have a picture or an object of love. Maybe burn some incense, have a candle, and sit quietly for a fixed period of time. I would recommend you begin with 20 minutes. You can set a little alarm if you like, but be consistent with the amount of time. Do this practice of witnessing the mind. And create a little sacred space somewhere in your home and sit in that same place. Same time, same place, over a long period of time. Then we'll begin to reap the benefits, reap the fruit of this practice of meditation. You might consider starting a journal of your experiences of meditation. I know in my early days of meditation, after I would complete my practice, I would simply have a little notebook available and make a few notes to kind of make real my inner experience, put it down on paper, keep track of that over a period of time. So I invite you to meditate on your own self, to honor yourself, to love your own being. Meditate with the awareness that supreme consciousness dwells within you, as the witness of the mind, as your own consciousness, as the deepest part of your own being. Namaste.